This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are. Thank you for downloading this SmackDown review as part of the WWE podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along once again, and thank you so much for everyone who has followed this week on Twitter. For anyone who hasn't yet done so, please come and follow me. I am at Amanda SD Pod. That's Amanda SD Pod. So, what a week it's been. I am mourning the end of the Olympics and trying to remind myself what I used to do before 14 hours of live sport a day. This week, the English Premier League begins, which is football for anyone who doesn't know, or soccer for those of you in the US. And as always, I am filled with optimism before a ball is kicked. Unfortunately, probably only to be inevitably put through the ringer all season before seeing Spurs knocked out of the League Cup in the fourth round, obviously so we can concentrate on the league. Knocked out of the FA Cup, probably to Chelsea, only to choke sometime around February, missing out on any kind of silverware again for what will be our 16th trophyless year. To be a Tottenham fan, but we live, we learn, and as sports fans I'm sure we all have our woes of following our particular teams. For anyone who is interested, a pup date for you. Yes, I still have our family member's puppy. It's been a whole week and I'm exhausted. You forget how much work they are. But she is still here. So once again, if you hear any scrabbling, yapping, nipping, my apologies. I am still on puppy watch. So to some more wrestling type chat. We had a great Raw on Monday. Really enjoying the whole product at the moment, I have to say. And I'm particularly enjoying the stuff between the New Judgment Day, Rhea and Damien. Really looking forward to seeing how that keeps on progressing. And I want to see some more in-ring stuff from the members of the Wyatt Six. But yeah, absolutely loving it. So let's get started with the reason you're all tuned in, which is the review of the SmackDown that aired on the 16th of August from Orlando, Florida. And I know you're all incredibly interested. Usually I haven't even heard of the places that we come from in the US because my US geography is just dire. But I'm delighted to report that I have been to Orlando, Florida, obviously. I'm pretty much sure everyone in Europe has been there to visit Disney World and all the other parks. So yeah, been there, know that one. So we start off with a recap of last week's show, and specifically the Bloodline angle. We see, again, Roman destroy the Tongans and the face-off between Solo and Roman. We then switch to some live action. We see Solo arrive, and Corey tells us that Roman is also here tonight. So it's excellent to see he's put in a shift since his return. That's 3 times we've seen him, including tonight, which is great. Love it. Apparently Solo is going to finish what he started. I don't think so. We've only really just begun on this angle. We go to the ring first off, which is all decked out in pink unicorn balloon towers. And Tiffany Stratton is waiting with Pretty Deadly for the Nia Jax Championship party. Tiffy has a microphone, and even the microphone has got pink decals on it, which is a nice touch. She brings down the Queen of the Ring, WWE Champion Nia Jax, and Nia is being rolled in on a massive movable throne, which actually she looks pretty awesome. It's a good image. Corey asks Wade how this compares to the actual royal family in the UK. Wade says it's much better than anything the British royals do. I'm pretty sure that's treason. But anyway, as Nia gets into the ring, Tiffy presents her with a sash, like the kind of things you see people on hen parties wearing, and also her title. And the crowd start booing pretty loud as Nia tries to speak. Nia says it's an awful lot of pink, which is a very fair point. And that she appreciates Tiffy, but this isn't really her style. She says her style is more destruction, which she proved at SummerSlam when she destroyed Bayley. She proved she was a woman of her word, and now she is not only Queen of the Ring, she's champion, and the whole locker room needs to bow down to her. She says she wants to start with Tiffany, and that Tiffany needs to bow down. Tiffy says to Nia that's why she's brought Pretty Deadly with her. I love them, by the way. I don't know if I've mentioned it. They are going to sing a song, and then they're all going to bow down to her. At this point, Pretty Deadly actually do start singing, which is totally cringy. I thought we were going to get like what they used to do with Elias, where he strums the first few bars and then someone interrupted him. But no, we've gone into a full-blown song and dance number, and it's not great. I thought Nia was going to smash him in the face as soon as they started, but actually looks like Nia's trying really hard not to break character and laugh. Finally, thank God, here comes Mi Chim. She's got a kendo stick, and she lays into Pretty Deadly, Tiffy and Nia, driving them all from the ring, which is a blessed relief because Pretty Deadly singing and dancing was pretty shoddy. Totally loving Mi Chim's new look and new attitude. I think they've made some small tweaks to her look specifically, which makes her a lot more relatable, a lot more likeable, and obviously she's a bit more ruthless and a bit more go-getting her with her attitude. I really hope that WWE are starting to use her a bit better, and look forward to seeing how this story unfolds. But strong start. We then go backstage where we see Naomi, Jade and Bianca watching events on the TV. And they're talking about how they're going to celebrate when they win back the tag titles, and that Naomi has a match tonight with Blair Davenport. At this point, Carmelo Hayes randomly walks past them, letting us know that he's here this week and has got something coming up. He then has an interaction with the three girls, Jade, Bianca and Naomi, saying he hears them talk about a party, and there will be a party when he beats Andrade. Jade says, good luck, isn't Andrade already 2 up on him? To which Carmelo says, when they walk away, yes, but at least they're watching my matches. And that brings on our first in-ring action tonight, our first match. As Andrade makes his entrance, Wade says that he is not happy at the moment because he feels that he should be the number 1 contender, but Carmelo ruined that. And Wade reminds us that this is a long-standing rivalry. I mean, define long-standing, but I guess relatively speaking, it's a long-standing rivalry. As we come back from the break, Carmelo makes his entrance, and we get a replay of the shenanigans last week, which we saw Andrade lose to Escobar. Carmelo is chopping off at the beginning of the match and pulls the heel classic of dodging contact a few times, so ducking through the ring ropes, ducking directly out of the ring. Andrade eventually catches him, but Carmelo turns the table straight away, catching him on the top rope, getting him some good offense with a springboard off the ropes, trying an early cover. He continues to beat down Andrade, who fights back with a massive drop kick and a moonsault to the outside. Carmelo starts to fight back and chucks Andrade to the outside as we go for a break. As we come back, both men are in the corner, and Andrade looks to pull off a move from the top, but is blocked as they trade blows. A Spanish fly from the top leads Andrade to a long two cover. Melo with a super kick, but Andrade goes for the three amigos, which is countered, and Melo with another 2 count. A near fall each, following some reversals, and Andrade with a massive elbow leading to another 2 count, from which Melo kicks out. Carmelo manages to counter the message and gets the cover for a 3 count and the win. Another great match, making it 2-1 with these guys now. I suspect we are not done as we get some afters with Andrade not liking Carmelo's general smugness after the match. The crowd are chanting, "Let them fight," so it looks like we are defo having another match with maybe some kind of cool stipulation. I think they're going to need to do something, because clearly we're getting the message that there was a lot more counters in this match, which I think is WWE's way of telling us that they're getting used to each other's style and move sets. So they might put something quite cool in terms of the stipulation in, maybe like probably not a cage or a Hell in the Cell, but I don't know, maybe like an Iron Man match or something like that. Anyway, it's good. I'm definitely growing into this program. So let's see where we go with it. But definitely, I don't think we are finished. We then go backstage to Solo and his thumb, which he's gazing at. Tama Tonga presents him with delay and says he will tear Roman apart limb from limb. But Solo says he is the tribal chief now, and if Roman takes back the lay, he will become the tribal chief, and Tama Tonga will have to acknowledge him, as will Solo, but only if he takes it back. We now go back out and have our next match, and it's Naomi, and this is our hometown. This is her hometown, rather, sorry. She gets a great pop, and she is competing against Blair Davenport. We go to a break, leaving Naomi in the ring to soak up her hometown adulation. And as we come back, we get another reminder of Giovanni Vinci. And he says he is coming back to SmackDown to remind us how great he is. Again, nice, fully embracing the Italian stereotype. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with him. How are they going to... Are they going to acknowledge the Imperium angle at all? Or is that just to be left in the past? But looking forward to this guy coming back. We then go back to the ring. Blair makes her entrance predictably to some pretty decent boos. And the commentary team remind us of the beef between these two. And that we still don't really know why Blair has such an issue with Naomi. We kick off, both women trading blows, with Blair getting an early upper hand, but Naomi pulls off one of her wicked Matrix move, and then a rear view takes out Blair. Naomi off the apron with a split kick on the outside, and then to the top with a big crossbody, which was a bit delayed and looked like Blair was just stood there waiting for it. So maybe just a little bit botchy. Takes down Blair, and Blair kicks out as we go for the break. As we come back from the break, Blair is back in charge, so we don't know how that happened, but Corey tells us that during the break she got the upper hand, which probably could have hazarded a guess at that myself, of her being back in charge. Both women clash in the middle of the ring, and Naomi starts to mount a fight back. Again, I felt like, and this is only my opinion, obviously I couldn't even, probably get in the rim ropes successfully, but this match did seem a little bit clunky, and a little bit, they seemed pausing, waiting for each other to make the move. Naomi with the split splash for a near cover, sliding kick from Naomi takes down Blair, and a drop kick in the corner. Davenport stops Naomi from the moonsault, and a big kick then from Blair, who gets the pin for the win. I was quite shocked. Not sure if something happened or something didn't quite go as planned, but it felt like quite an abrupt ending to the match somehow. Or maybe that was just how it was meant to go, but I did not expect Davenport to get the win. As I said, it did seem to come out of nowhere. And in Naomi's hometown, so I guess that is also a rivalry which is going to continue. And just as Blair Davenport got the pin on Naomi, I just noticed someone on the front row with a sign saying, "Pretty Deadly the Musical, or we riot." Yes, boy, I'm totally loving that. We now go backstage, where we see Waller doing a warm-up for his match with KO. Waller is complaining to Theory and asking why has he thrown him under the bus, setting him up with this match with KO. Theory says no way, this is a huge opportunity and he will be at ringside as always, which starts Waller off ranting about how did KO get his title shot and how he doesn't deserve it and how his win-loss record is so poor, blah, 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 blah. And then we get the comedy moment where KO appears behind him. Theory's giving it the shush, 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 but Waller carries on digging his hole. As he slowly turns around and sees KO standing behind him, KO says, "No, you're right. I agree. You heard me last week. You're completely right. I don't deserve this title opportunity. And what did you say? That you were gonna get the easy W over me. So come on, let's go. Go out there and prove it." So it absolutely seems like Waller is getting his ass kicked by KO tonight. As we head out to ringside, we get some stats from the commentary team about sellouts and live events. Wade says it's the most successful time he's ever known. I'm quite liking that we get these little insights into, the success of WWE at the moment. I feel like we're all part of it, and that's quite a nice thing. So now KO makes his entrance, and he looks blooming furious. And in comes Waller to make his entrance with Theory. Just thought to myself, is tonight the night that Theory turns on Waller? I don't think so. I think they might save it for a PLE, but still, I think we all know it's coming. So we start off the match, and KO dropkicks Waller to the corner and continues to batter him. Waller mounts a fight back, but KO quickly regains control, taking him to the outside of the ring. We get Theory acting as a distraction, and Waller gets a cheap shot but takes too long celebrating. KO sneaks up behind him, bashes him, takes out Theory as well. Waller makes a fight back, rolling KO back inside the ring and tries a quick cover for two. Waller with an elbow from the second rope and another close cover on KO. Waller is going for the suplex from the top, but KO counters with some punches and headbutts, followed by a swanton from KO, leading to a very close cover. We then get KO pulling off the stunner, followed by a pop-up powerbomb for the win. Nice match. Never thought for 1 second that Waller was going to win. But there is afters as KO continues to beat down Waller. Theory comes in for the save and grabs a couple of chairs, but before they can attack KO, Cody comes out with Waller and Theory turning tail. We then get a Cody KO face-off, and as Cody goes to get the belt, KO picks it up and hands it to him. Now guys, to me, this match in Berlin still feels a bit flaccid. Something awesome is going to need to happen in the next couple of weeks to put some life into this match. Maybe that's adding a third person or something, but at the moment it feels about as exciting as watching paint dry. I have nothing really positive to say about it. Love KO, I love Cody, but I don't really need to see them in this match. So yeah, come on, fingers crossed. Let's hope they inject something really cool into it. So we then go backstage again to Solo, and we see him gazing lovingly at his lei. I'm thinking to myself, should someone look at an inanimate object that lovingly? I don't know. Obviously, it's very special to him. Tama Tonga appears again and puts it on him. He says he acknowledges him. Solo says he does, and that tonight Roman also needs to acknowledge him. We get a vignette with Legado del Fantasma. Escobar is saying that week after week they have been disrespected and disregarded, and the time has come for them to ensure that people remember who they are. He says that next week he will take the US title from LA Knight, and that Legado del Fantasma know what needs to be done. And he is still pushing this Escobar C thing, which I get is a Mickey take of LA Knight, yeah, but it's not happening. No one is going to chant that back at him, but I guess that's the point. Perhaps for next week we'll have some t-shirts made up with Escobar C on it. Then we come back live and LA Knight comes out. Crowd, as always, goes absolutely nuts. Knight doesn't go all the way to the ring. He does this on the rampway. He already has a mic in his hand and cuts a promo on Escobar. He says Escobar is reminding his goons who they are, when it looks like Escobar is trying to be more like Knight. You have to agree with him there. He says next week he will make him forget where he is, never mind who he is. And he might be trash, but next week or any week he will put Escobar on his arse. This was quite a short and sweet promo, but it was a response to the pre-recorded vignette from Legado del Fantasma. I thought it was really good. LA Knight continues to be super over, very popular champion. I don't think there's any chance at all Escobar takes the title off him, but we all know my record on predictions, so don't bet your house on that. We go backstage and we see Michin coming out of Nick Aldis, or Oblivion the Gladiator as we know him, office, grinning like the Cheshire Cat. She is met outside by Piper and Chelsea, who thank her for breaking up the earlier celebration of Nia Jax's title reign. Chelsea says she tried to warn Tacky Time, that's catching on, very much enjoying that nickname, and that she just doesn't listen. They say they were going to do what Michin did, but it was so much fun to watch. Michin says it's a good job she did what she did, as she now has a WWE Championship match against Nia. And as Chelsea goes off to the office to complain to Nick about that, Nia attacks Michin from behind. Nick comes out, breaks it up, and takes Nia into the office. So that's quite a nice early payoff there. Again, not sure that Michin has much of a chance against Nia. But once again, let's not listen too hard to my predictions, and actually maybe that the whole Michin Nia thing is just a vehicle for Tiffy time, or Taki Tiffy's cash in her money in the bank contract, because they seem to be sowing some seeds of disquiet between them this week, with Nia complaining about the pinkness and insisting that Tiffy and Pretty Deadly bow down to her. So I'm wondering if this is just a vehicle for that. But watch this space. Let's see how we go. So straight back out to the ring, we have the number one contender decider for the Tag Team Championships. And this is the Street Profits versus DIY. Both make their entrances, and the match starts with Montez and Gargano tying up in the ring. They spend the first minute or so countering each other's moves, and that ends in a handshake as we start things properly. Ciampa comes into the ring with Dawkins. Dawkins outpowers Ciampa by a couple of great moves and a tag. Montez and Johnny are in, and the Profits are in charge, and to be honest are looking pretty great. As we come back from the break, Johnny is in the ring, and it's quite annoying because he seems to be in charge, and that's not where we left it, but I'm going to stop whinging on about that. Montez counters and causes DIY to take each other out, and then Dawkins is in. The Street Profits with a massive double team and a near cover. Dawkins up to the top with a swanton, which misses, and then he gets hit by a running knee from Ciampa. Ciampa with the tag to Gargano and a double team to Dawkins, which Dawkins powers out of and slams Gargano. Ciampa grabs Montez's ankle, and both Gargano and Montez set up to fly out of the ring on opposite sides to take out the respective other tag team partner. We then get Gargano and Montez one-on-one in the ring, trading blows and trading kicks. We get a near cover for Johnny as we go to the break. And as we come back, we have Ciampa in the ring. Seems to have retained DIY's advantage. Ford with a zigzag, and he goes off the top with a 450, which is spectacular. Ciampa, though, gets his knees up and a shatter machine from DIY. Dawkins just breaks the count. Montez with a huge jumping knee and a double team from the Profits. Again, Johnny breaks the count. Ciampa and Dawkins are left in the ring, but Johnny with a blind tag. Ciampa hits the fairy tale ending, of which Dawkins somehow kicks out and manages to counter the spear. And the Street Profits hit the super blockbuster move and get the cover for the win, which makes the Street Profits the number one contenders for the tag team titles. The match is on next week's SmackDown, which should be awesome. This was actually a great match, and this version of the Street Profits with B-Fab are blooming brilliant. I like it. They are a bit more aggressive. They are in the grey area between face and heel. So yeah, that should be good. Again, don't know if they will win the titles, but once again, let's not pay too much attention to what I think. At this point, we get a look at next week's card. We have a 6-woman tag, Naomi, Jade and Bianca versus Isla Dawn, Alba Fire and Blair Davenport, which again should be a great match. All women are doing well at the moment. And we have LA Knight versus Escobar for the US title. So next week's show already shaping up to be pretty awesome. We then get Solo's music hits, and down he comes to the ring with Tama Tonga. Where's the rest of them? Either out injured or hiding to attack later. Probably hiding to attack later, I'd say. So when we get back from the break, Solo is in the ring and tells Orlando to acknowledge him. Once again, they decline politely and just boo him instead, cheering for the OTC, the original tribal chief. He says he sees how it is, they don't want to acknowledge him, but he knows one man who has to, and that is Roman Reigns. And he calls him out and says if he wants the lay, he should come and get it back. Roman's music hits and the crowd pops massively. He is still on his own, no sign of the OG bloodline yet, which actually, when you think about it, is pretty cool. He's showing that he doesn't think he needs their help yet. Solo hands the lei to Tama Tonga and orders him out of the ring. But note, he doesn't go. He just hangs out in the corner. They start to trade blows in the ring. But as soon as Roman gets the upper hand, Tama Tonga attacks him. Roman quickly overcomes him and sets up the announce table to put Tonga through. But Solo from behind starts to beat down on Roman. Corey makes a point to say that Roman is succumbing to the numbers game, which served him so well over the years. And I think surely that's a huge signpost that the OG bloodline will be back to help soon. Solo goes for the spike, but Roman counters and gets a massive Superman punch and a spear to Solo. Roman goes for the lei and puts it on to huge cheers from the crowd. But then Jacob Fatu from nowhere takes out Roman. He's still got his boot on, so presumably still selling their ankle or foot injury, whatever it was from SummerSlam. So he's absolutely annihilating Roman in the ring. He's in his normal brutal fashion. And now Solo and Tama Tonga are back in the picture, and Roman gets put through the announce table. We end the show with Solo, Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga stood tall with the ones up while Roman is laying on the floor next to them in the ring. Now, since Corey has mentioned the numbers game a couple of times in tonight's show, and that final image was so powerful, I think we can't be too far away from the OG bloodline return, maybe even in next week's SmackDown. We know how smart Roman is, because how long he led the OG bloodline and preserved his own title reign. We know that at the very least Heyman will be in his corner, but I do think we aren't far away from a full OG bloodline reunion. I absolutely loved this week's show again, guys. I feel like all the storylines are being progressed despite the next PLE being just around the corner, and I'm already looking forward to SmackDown next week. I'd love to know your thoughts on everything WWE, but obviously specifically SmackDown, and what you're thinking of these shows. Reach out to me on Twitter or X. I am at Amanda SD Pod. And that just about does it for this week's show once again. And as always, thank you for having me in your ears. Thank you for your comments and interactions. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great week. And until next time, remember, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.